Hi, it's Elyse here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So for this week, our theme, we're doing something a little bit different. And we're exploring some of my favorite reads of this year so far. And what I love about this is not necessarily all the books are published this year. We do have a handful that are maybe 2021s, but what I love about this is maybe you need some reading inspiration. Maybe you want to close the year out strong with some reading. You have a reading challenge goal you're trying to meet. Even if it's you wanted to read 1 or 2 books this year and you're in October now and it's almost like, man, I gotta get working on that. So these are some of my favorite reads I've come across so far up until this point this year. So hopefully maybe this will give you some inspiration, some encouragement, get you to start something maybe you hadn't considered. So let's get started with our 6 amazing titles. Our first one is Year of the Reaper. So in this adventure-packed fantasy, we start by meeting 18-year-old Cass, and he is making his way home across a land that's been ravaged by disease and by drought. When he does return home, though, he soon finds himself unexpectedly saving the infant crown prince when there's an assassination attack against him. And he soon learns that when he returns home, everyone thought he was dead. They are shocked that he is alive. And then also, as the reader, you do find out he is not only alive, but he's also a nobleman. And his brother runs this whole land, and everything has changed, including the fact now that Cass can see ghosts after surviving a near-death experience while being held prisoner. So Cass quickly finds himself sucked into an intricate plot which involves the royal family, and this royal family is the target of trying to be assassinated. There are individuals who are involved that will stop at nothing until they are killed, that they make sure that their goal, their mission is complete, and it's going to be up to Cass to stop whoever that person or even group is. So there's a slow build romance, but it does not get away with the story, I can promise you that. And this amazing fantasy standalone is more adventure and action than fantasy. So if you're not really a fantasy reader, but you like a good adventure story, this you can say you're reading fantasy. This is a fast-paced read, highly recommend. This is Year of the Reaper. One of my favorites for this year, None Shall Sleep. Don't mind the cover. It's an amazing story. So 18-year-olds Emma Lewis and Travis Bell, they find themselves being recruited by the FBI for a summer project. And there's specific reasons why they are recruits. They are recruited for the project they are. You do find out as the story goes on. And there's a special project waiting for them if they agree to this summer internship. They soon learn that the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, and in our book it's 1982. It's just in its beginning. They're just trying to prove, make people believe in behavioral science. They've learned that this unit wants them to interview teenage serial killers who have been caught and are currently in prison in order to help the Bureau better understand and create better profiles to help catch these individuals in the future. Agreeing to help, they soon find themselves caught up in a serial killer spree, which becomes more and more complicated as each day passes. They are sent to interview the infamous teenage serial killer Simon Gutmanson in order to gain greater insight to what the killer's next step might be. But when they go on this interview, when they start talking to Simon, Emma and Travis start to realize that there is more going on than what they know or even what the FBI knows, and that Simon knows more than what he is letting on as well. The psychological murder mystery is one that you will not be able to put down. Think Mindhunter meets Silence of the Lambs. It takes place right here in Northern Virginia. There's a whole epic scene that takes place in Berryville. Yeah, right down in Clark. It's a must read. Loved this story. Highly recommend it. None Shall Sleep. Luck of the Titanic. So British-Chinese 17-year-old Valora Luck is on her way to find her brother Jamie, who she thinks is working as a sailor, and she's booked a ticket on this new ship called the Titanic so she can go find her brother, because she's gotten word that he's going to be on board this ship. When she goes to board, though, she finds out that she is not allowed on this ship because it's headed to the United States, and the United States has a law that was passed in 1882 known as the Chinese Exclusion Act, which makes it illegal for her to come to the United States just because she is of Chinese heritage, Chinese descent. Valora decides that she is still going to get on board the ship, but she decides to do it another way. And she uses her acrobatic skills, sneaks on the ship, and she stows away. From there, Valora's life changes as she meets various individuals. She wants to show off her talents to one of the owners of the Ringling Brothers Circus who's on board, and she tries to make contact with her brother. And then we all know what happens. I mean, like, if you know your history, you've heard of with the Titanic, you know what happens to make the journey that goes down one for the history books. Based loosely on a true story, there were 8 Chinese men actually on board the Titanic, and 6 of them did survive. There is an amazing author note, so once you finish it, please read the author note. If you love historical fiction like I do, Stacey Lee is an amazing historical fiction author. Love Downstairs Girl. That one is amazing as well. This is Luck of the Titanic. Furia. So 17-year-old Camilla, who is known as La Furia on the soccer field, she's growing up in Argentina with dreams of becoming a professional soccer player in North America. This is a dream though, as she has this secret. She has to keep secret that she plays soccer, she plays football, from her abusive father and her strict mother, because it is not acceptable in their eyes that she do this. This is not what women do. So she decides to play in secret, and her team ends up qualifying for an out-of-town tournament. It's then that she starts to realize that she will need to come clean to her parents in order to be able to attend this tournament, because at this tournament, it's going to help maybe fulfill her dreams. Because there's going to be scouts there. People are going to take notice of her, especially teams from North America, colleges and universities. But it's going to be so much harder than she ever could have imagined. I will tell you, this is so much more than a soccer story, but soccer does play a front and center role. You will follow the journey with Camilla as she follows her dreams and stays true to herself. There is a heavy romance throughout, so if you do like a romantic story, this one has it. It plays a huge role in her decision making as well. But this realistic sports story will leave you inspired, as well as cheering for La Furia as she does what she needs to overcome everyone's expectations for her. Furia. Run by John Lewis. So this graphic novel is the start of a new trilogy, but serves as a continuation to the amazing March trilogy. If you have not read the March trilogy, you need to read it. Amazing. A look at our history through the eyes of John Lewis. Now, it highlights mainly John Lewis's efforts during the civil rights movement up through the Selma March. This one picks up right where that trilogy ends off, with the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But that does not end the troubles and the racist sentiments that are still held within our country. This explores the events that take place from the signing of the attacks, after the signing, such as there's attacks from white supremacists, and there's riots, there's tackling international issues such as apartheid, especially in South Africa. This is part of an exploration of John Lewis. You will find yourself, though, learning so much about the history of that time period in our country, as well as other parts of the world. And you will find yourself learning, questioning, discovering what happened through the eyes of an American great, John Lewis, and the role he played in the civil rights movement, which is still ongoing. Amazing. I will tell you, you don't have to read the March trilogy first, but it does help you to understand this one a little bit more. This is Run, Book 1. And our last one is The Kingdom of Bach. So Nan is the older sister of Wolfgang Mozart. A musical prodigy in her own right, she wishes that she would be remembered forever. But growing up in 1700s Europe, though, means that probably won't happen, because as a woman, she will only be able to perform until she is at an age that she can marry. And then, at that point, she's not allowed to perform, nor will she ever be able to compose her own music. As she grows older, her brother's talent and ability increases, leaving Nan behind, leaving her filled with some jealousy as well. One night, though, a mysterious visitor comes and promises to make all of her dreams come true, but it may cost her everything. An historical fantasy that will make you examine how far would you go for family in what you love and what you want out of life. This is The Kingdom of Bach. So these are just 6 of my favorite reads of this year so far. Keep in mind, it's only October. We still have time. I might find some of my favorite reads in the next 3 months. You never know. But I encourage you to come out. Check out one of these. Maybe you'll find one of your new favorite reads. Maybe you have a favorite read that you would love to share with us. I would love to know it. Keep on reading. Finish this year strong, especially if you're doing a reading challenge. Use some of these as some inspiration to get you kick-started again. I hope you tune back next week. We have a whole new Teen Book Spotlight, and I hope you have an amazing week.